November 17, 1978. Speedway, Indiana. A small town on the edge of Indianapolis. To most people, it was just another Friday night. Families were heading home, friends were gathering for the weekend, and a burger chef restaurant was closing its doors for the night shift. But that evening, something unthinkable happened. Four young employees went missing. At first, police believed it was nothing more than a petty theft. But within 48 hours, the truth came to light. The teenagers weren't out partying. They weren't hiding. They were dead, brutally murdered in different ways, their bodies left in a remote wooded area. This is the story of the Burger Chef murders, one of Indiana's most chilling unsolved cases. A cold case that continues to baffle investigators and terrify families nearly half a century later. The four victims were ordinary teenagers and young adults, working a late-night shift to earn extra money. Jane Freet, 20 years old, was the assistant manager that night. Friends described her as responsible and hardworking. She was someone you could depend on. Daniel Davis, 16, was a high school student juggling school and part-time work. Quiet but kind, he had dreams of going to college. Ruth Shelton, 17, was saving up for her future. She was described as shy and gentle, someone who avoided conflict. Mark Flemons, only 16, was the newest hire. He had been working at Burger Chef for less than 2 weeks. For him, this job was just the start of something bigger. These were regular kids, doing what millions of teenagers do, working after school, saving money, building their lives. None of them could have imagined that night would be their last. The restaurant was supposed to close at 11 p.m. But by midnight, something was wrong. Customers outside noticed that the employees' cars were still parked in the lot. Inside, things looked suspicious. The back door was unlocked. The safe was open, and about $500 was missing. Personal belongings, purses, jackets, were left behind. But here's where the case takes its first devastating turn. Instead of treating it as a possible kidnapping or armed robbery, the Speedway police assumed the employees had taken the money and gone out to party. They didn't secure the scene. They didn't collect evidence. By the very next morning, the Burger Chef reopened for business. Customers came in. Food was served, and whatever fingerprints, blood traces, or forensic evidence might have been there were wiped away forever. This mistake destroyed the investigation before it even began. 2 days later, on November 19th, the mystery turned into horror. In Johnson County, about 20 miles away from Speedway, 2 men stumbled upon a shocking scene in the woods. The bodies of the 4 missing employees were found. Each had been killed in a different way. Jane and Ruth were shot execution style. Daniel had been stabbed multiple times. Mark had been beaten so badly that investigators believed he was struck with a chain. The brutality of the murders was staggering. The fact that each victim died differently suggested more than one killer. It was not random. It was controlled, deliberate, and merciless. This was not a simple robbery gone wrong. This was something darker. With 4 young people murdered, the case exploded across Indiana. The FBI was called in to assist local police. Witnesses came forward. Some reported seeing 2 suspicious men sitting in a van outside the Burger Chef that night. Composite sketches were made, and investigators thought they were close to catching the killers. But despite nationwide circulation, those men were never positively identified. The investigation dragged on for years. Dozens of suspects were interviewed, tips were chased, and theories began to pile up. But every lead ended in frustration. Over the decades, 3 main theories have dominated the case. Theory 1, a robbery gone wrong. The most common explanation is that the Burger Chef was targeted for robbery. But when the employees recognized the robbers, they were taken hostage, driven away, and murdered to silence them. The missing $500 supports this theory, but the brutality of the murders makes it difficult to explain. Theory 2, gang or organized crime. Some investigators believe this was the work of a gang or criminal organization. The execution-style killings. The variety of methods, and the apparent coordination point toward multiple attackers with experience in violence. Could it have been connected to larger criminal networks operating in Indiana during the 1970s? Theory 3, an inside job. Others suggested the crime was personal. Could someone connected to Burger Chef have orchestrated it? Was it revenge, or a targeted attack disguised as a robbery? Each theory raises questions. None provide solid answers. The biggest failure in this case was the very beginning. By not securing the restaurant, police lost vital evidence. Any fingerprints, blood stains, or clues were gone. As years passed, suspects died, evidence degraded, and leads went cold. Families of the victims demanded justice, but the system failed them. The FBI eventually pulled back. Responsibility was left to the Indiana State Police Cold Case Unit. Despite new forensic technologies, including DNA testing, the case remains unsolved. Today, the Burger Chef restaurant where the murders began no longer stands. The building is gone, replaced by other businesses. But the memory of that night still lingers in Indiana, especially for the families of Jane, Daniel, Ruth, and Mark. They are still waiting for justice. Still waiting for answers. Still haunted by the question, why? Why were 4 innocent teenagers murdered in such brutal ways? Was it a botched robbery? A gang hit? Or something much darker that remains hidden to this day? Nearly 50 years later, the Burger Chef murders remain one of America's most infamous cold cases, a chilling reminder of how quickly life can be stolen and how justice can be denied. What do you think happened that night in Speedway, Indiana? Do you believe it was a robbery gone wrong, a gang execution, or a personal vendetta? Leave your theories in the comments below, and if you want more true crime stories, unsolved murders, and cold cases that still haunt investigators, subscribe to Dark Unsolved Crimes. Turn on notifications so you never miss a chance to explore the darkest mysteries still waiting to be solved.